All right, the situation is basically it's one of I believe of what I would call police terrorism, because what you have going on now in New Orleans is that you have a police force that's operating at roughly 80% capacity. But that 80% capacity of a police force is now patrolling and as they say, protecting a population that's only 1/5 of the normal population. They say that there's 100,000 people by the Times-Picayune estimate as of last week back in New Orleans. So that means and this was out of a population that they say was out pre-Katrina at 460,000 people. So that's 460,000 people that was in New Orleans that in pre-Katrina, and now in post-Katrina is only 100,000. So again, we have this major police force along with the Army and every other national security force in New Orleans, and many private security companies have increased tenfold since the hurricane. So again, we have all this up in there, and what they're after arresting people. They'll arrest you, they'll put you in jail, then they'll give you the choice. Either plead guilty, pay $300, or either stay in jail 45 days. So people are pleading guilty, paying the $300, but you imagine that 300 times 100, and then you multiply that times 7, and then you look at times 4, and you see how much money is steady being coming in. Because why? New Orleans is bankrupt. New Orleans it had to lay off 300 of its employees. I mean 3,000 employees. So here we are talking about a bankrupt city with a police force that's operating at 80% of its pre-Katrina force, protecting population now that's not even 1/5 the normal size of New Orleans. So that means that we don't need all these police. So one of the things that in order to make sure that there be no massive layoff, they're doing it with arrest. And the move have been out to arrest. Every day that when the police come and they meet, the first thing they tell them about is the number of arrests. So for this end, you're seeing people being arrested for anything and everything. And what we is doing is monitoring it. But in monitoring it, we didn't know that it was a law until Katrina and that we are violating. So now we're trying to find out exactly when was this law passed, and how it's going to be enforced. And that law is being nosy. For being nosy in New Orleans now is a major crime when the police is making arrests. If they're making arrests, you're supposed to turn your head and look the other way so they could go on with the dastardly deeds that they're doing. But if you try to record it, if you try to document what they're doing, then you are arrested. And for this, we have been targeted, because I don't care what kind of relief work I do. You know, once I get fed, it's all about social justice. And if you're not talking about social justice, then I advise you not to feed me. Because from there, that's what it's all about, social justice. And there cannot be a social justice for one group of people and then social no justice for another. And we're going to make sure that in the rebuilding of New Orleans, it's going to be justice for all. But listen, if I'm your enemy, the last thing I want
is the truth.
That's right. And for you to have the people who going to teach you, you know, who going to allow you. That's right. Yeah, that's the last thing they want. Because, you know, I mean, it's all related. You know, you can't take away what's going on with Tukey, and you can't limit it to Tukey.
Right.
You know, we need to end the death penalty altogether. We need to make sure that we build a society that's based upon peace and justice. You know, and this got to be one that's not only here or regional or local. It's got to be global. We have to make sure that right now, because right now, I mean, we are living in a world where we are just about all in a powder keg, and too many people have lighters. You know, any little thing can destroy. Oh, that's right. So again, we have to be prepared. And I want you to know this here. That one thing Katrina taught me, that you see if something like this would happen, see if you're poor, if you're disenfranchised.
And you live in the richest country in the world.
It don't matter. You will die. They will literally leave you to die. That's why I'm saying that it's time that we get our lives right, that we understand the importance of civic responsibility, that we develop the safeguard. If every church has some type of disaster action, if every community center has some type of disaster plan, if we would all sit down as a community and say that, hey, that disaster can happen, whether it be man-made or natural, that here's what we have to deal with it. This is what we need to develop in order to make sure that if something happened, that this is going to be our reaction to it. But this is what we don't have. Understand this here. During Hurricane Katrina, we had to throw away enough food that we could have fed the whole world. Just in the Gulf Coast. If you look around at all the refrigerators, and these refrigerators was a testimony of our lack of civic responsibility. That if we would have just took that food out of those refrigerators that we knew was gonna go bad, that everybody knew it was gonna go bad, and put that food to use, we could have fed everybody in the world. And this is something that we need to look at. You know, that I've seen what we can do, and what we can do with not just money, but with commitment. The first time I saw it was in Vietnam, and in Vietnam I saw America put all its resources, all its wealth, all its military prowess against a people that was stone broke, but those people won. Why did they win? Because of commitment. You cannot buy commitment. And to that end, that's the reason why we at Common Ground have been able to do what we have done. Because of the fact that the people who have came down and who are coming down off of commitment. Yes. How was we able to do it? With nothing? We was able to do it because of the fact that we have people like you, people from all over the world who stand for peace and justice, made the commitment to come on in, come on down with us, and have brought the supplies, have made that, because again, only thing the government have done is tried to shut us down. They have never tried to help us. Not one elected official have ever came over to Common Ground to see how this phenomenon, how is it working? How did we able to do this with nothing? How can we get doctors to come from all over the world and volunteer? And we're going to make sure that the rebuilding of New Orleans going to be in a just manner. We're going to make sure that corruption and that good old boy thing is going to end. It's going to end, whether it's a white good old boy network or whether it's a Creole or black. It don't matter. We're going to make sure that this time, that old exploitation and the old money that used to rule New Orleans, this is going to die with Katrina and New Orleans. Because I'm going to make them, listen, the hard questions, they got to be answered. And I'm going to ask them. I'm going to make sure that that what happened in Katrina is at the forefront.